The year is 2015. You've had a great summer of gaming. Maybe you've finally finished Undertale with the skeleton man and the funny music. Or possibly you tried out your first Battlefield game after that embarrassment that Call of Duty Ghost was.
Yes, I'm a gynecologist.
You're literally 40 years of age. Go raise your family, okay?
Where's your wife?
But this doesn't even scratch the surface of the amount of games released that year. Rocket League, Siege, Fallout 4.
Good morning.
It's a Bethesda game, just don't be surprised. For many of you watching, 2015 will seem like ages ago, because yeah, it kind of is. And it's weird to see how much has changed in our life since then. I used to go to school for 6 hours a day, see friends, come home, play video games, and now I'm 19, go to school and have a job, and I hate my life. The passage of time has never complemented video games very well. This is mainly due to the fact that we become blinded by nostalgia, that when we return to our favorite games, they're almost like an empire of dirt. A memory of something that was once great, but doesn't hold up today. Prime example of this were the Spider-Man games. Growing up, I remember I used to really enjoy them, but upon revisiting, they're honestly some of the laziest and ugliest games ever made, with some of the cringiest voice lines.
I'm going to die.
In today's video, we're going to go back in time to a very wholesome time in my life, a game that I thoroughly enjoyed for many years of my childhood, and see if the game still holds up, and it isn't just nostalgia clouding my vision.
You know what sounds fun right now?
What?
Black Ops 3.
I am a squirrel.
Bringing you some Black Ops 3.
Oregon! Yeah! What's going on, everybody?
One thing that has remained constant throughout gaming is the release of a new Call of Duty game, and I guess that is somewhat why I'm revisiting Black Ops 3 today. I remember the 6th of November very well, sprinting home in the rain from school, just hoping that my Amazon parcel had arrived at 4 PM. I bought the Steelbook version, and it was so slick unwrapping that, and it was even better when no one was in the house. I think my brother was at university at the time, and my parents were working, so it was just me, the boys, and a fresh copy of Black Ops 3. And I played an unhealthy amount day one. I think I like Prestige that weekend, while streaming a load of my first games via my PS4 and grinding for Dark Matter like a loser. The game came into my life at a time where rushing home to play games was my primary focus, and I think Call of Duty is a prime example of that culture. It's a franchise with many different game modes and things to do with your friends, and slurs to be called.
Leave the fucking lobby, you stupid fucking
And thus is why it's viewed so fondly amongst players alike. I was 12 when this game released, a period in life where you have an abundance of time, so regardless of what Activision dribbled out, I'll always look back at those times with praise, and that's what today's all about. Determining why I may have such strong feelings for a 7-year-old game. Oh, and the main reason I'm making this video is because I actually want to make one on Black Ops 2, but some other nostalgia baiting piece of shit beat me to it. Black Ops 3 was a pivotal moment for Call of Duty, a game which I would deem as COD's last chance at a comeback, at a time where the franchise was starting to fall off. It is understandable, however, COD had such high standards in the past, which meant that any game released after had a monumental task of recreating those moments.
You got some set of balls, you know that? Absolutely not.
When we think of the highs of Call of Duty, the first thing that comes to mind has to be MW2 and Black Ops 2, two sequels that displayed everything online gaming had to offer. Modern Warfare 2 revolutionized the genre in terms of innovation relating to gameplay and story. It also led to the erection of one of my favourite clans of all time, don't be rude, FaZe Clan, which segued into a completely different culture. The fast-paced gameplay of Modern Warfare 2, the cool perks that made epic intervention sniping even more enjoyable, built the foundations for the community to thrive by trying to get fun and enjoyable clips using non-traditional methods. But probably what you most want me to talk about is the Call of Duty culture, arguably the best thing about COD at the time.
You fucking piece of shit! You are fucking god-awful!
With it being 2009, trash talking was ripe with some of the most heinous verbal crimes that would make any Twitter user from the year 2022 implode. And this is why MW2 is still talked about today. Its toxicity is what makes it such a memorable game and became a staple of what COD was all about. Some of the most deplorable humans sat in a corner with a claymore, or an actual real person deciding to play the entire game using a noob tube. People were purposely playing like pieces of shit, and it was incredibly funny. This is completely incomparable to today's standards. Sure, people like being sweaty trying to get kills, but no one is purposely playing in a way because it's funny. People are unironically playing the game solely to be the best, doing annoying movement mechanics and not going outside, just so they can clip their gameplay and stick it on YouTube. I probably haven't explained it too well, okay, but trust me, it's different, okay? It's different. I'm not doing the old gaming nostalgia cope. It is different. I don't know, maybe it's because everything was broken in MW2 and that's what made it fun. Stupid shit that could just dominate people rather than constant weapon changes to suit the COD pros, which is another word for terminally online virgin, which has been disassociating fans of COD for a while. And although the media and big gamers will try and brainwash you into thinking the gameplay is the most important part to a video game, I'm here to tell you that in the case of Modern Warfare 2, that is very untrue. What makes Modern Warfare 2 one of the greatest shooters, if not games of all time, is its community, which its references still hold up today.
Riot Shield! I'm a pussy that use Riot Shield!
For a while then, COD played it safe, without any reinvention of the wheel until Black Ops 2 rolled around. The foundations built upon in 2009 had been tuned up to the max in 2012. Those children who were once bullied 3 years ago were starting to fight back and take a stand against the full-grown men.
Pour down, fuck nigga!
Vanos Gaming, KY Speedy, Crispy Concords all starting to profit out of doing funny moments on the video game, as opposed to trick shot montages that were previously the big thing. This isn't to negate the fact that it didn't exist anymore. FaZe Rain actually got a Pornhub award because of his Black Ops 2 montage getting posted over to the site, but it was clear that Call of Duty was shifting towards a much more entertainment-based genre. Trolling was also gaining popularity on YouTube. Making children cry was the new standard, and Black Ops 2 was at the forefront. I don't know, maybe it was the growth of the COD genre or just how bright and colourful the game was, but it was more evident that more children were flooding their way onto the game, leading to much more interesting interactions to be made. I don't know, that sounds a bit dodgy, doesn't it? That's a bit weird, that. Unironically, a channel called Troll Munchies, with one of the most 2012 intros I've ever seen, managed to profit from this content shift. It was evident, though, that Call of Duty was starting to get ahead of itself, however, flying too close to the sun and creating expectations that were too hard to meet. Infinity Ward had wrapped up the Modern Warfare trilogy in 2011 and was ready to do something different in 2013 with Call of Duty Ghosts. Ghosts was seen as a massive failure. No spec op missions, a terrible campaign.
There ain't gonna be any ghosts.
Awful side content. I mean, aliens. What the fuck? And from what I could personally remember from the multiplayer, maps that were just simply so fat and large and overweight and inflation joke just fucking so vast. It was clear that they were trying to innovate and change up the game like Black Ops 2 did, but they'd sadly fallen flat on their face. And many people, like myself included, just turned back to playing BO2, regardless of the fact that you could play Ghosts on your new next-gen console. So next year it was Sledgehammer Games, with their first introduction to the COD franchise with Advanced Warfare, the COD game that completely revamped the entire movement mechanics by having exosuits, a concept hated by many COD fans.
I'll take a gun and I'll blow my fucking head off.
This game split the community apart, from those who thought fast movement added to the game and made the skill ceiling higher, to the majority of people who felt it didn't feel like COD anymore. It was clear that Advanced Warfare was not a success, and fans did not want to revert back to its roots.
What you're seeing is Advanced Warfare.
For me, I did enjoy the game, but I was also 11 at the time. I'm sure because my dad let me play an 18-rated game when my mum wasn't in the house, I probably would have sat down and played any garbage game, because it had an ounce of blood and a swear word in it.
Damn fucking shit. Son of a bitch.
But yeah, I do have some nice memories of Advanced Warfare, but I'm willing to admit that they will be deep-rooted in nostalgia.
Here he goes now with the nostalgia.
So why was it important to take you on this memorable journey? Well, the context is important to help understand why so much pressure was placed on Treyarch with Black Ops 3. Sure, it hadn't been their fuck-ups. Infinity Ward had messed up with Ghosts, and the new and upcoming Sledgehammer Games had completely misunderstood what fans wanted. The difficult thing is that Black Ops 3 would have been in development before any of these backlashes arose, meaning that last-minute changes would have to be made to keep the gamers happy. I also don't think this game ever intended to be Black Ops 3. Like, the campaign has almost nothing to do with Black Ops 2 or 1. I think they thought that if we call it Black Ops, moron gamers will just look past any of the faults from the previous two games, and yeah, it might have actually worked on me.
You don't think, you never figured out how to think.
As I said earlier, Black Ops 3 came about in the prime gaming era for me.
Why are you blue?
It was the first Call of Duty I actually pre-ordered, and even more so, I was generally hyped for the game, being involved in the beta. Look, I'm not lying, this is literally me playing on release date, streaming with that fucking built-in feature in the PS4. So yeah, I did play a lot of this game, creating content with it, and by content I mean squeaker on the microphone.
Now, Coolest Black Friday has just gone.
He's a fag.
Maybe that's why I still have some praise to give this game, because it was a goldmine for content. All of us getting home from school simultaneously to join the PlayStation party and tear up Hardpoint and Search and Destroy, sweating for camos, going for cool feeds with snipers, or even just trying to get to Master Prestige. Out of all the Call of Duties, Black Ops 3's multiplayer is definitely up there.
You bitch! Get the fuck away from me, you nigga!
Your robot's doing the robot.
You're fucking pissing me off.
Did I hit it?
The multiplayer is the main feature of, well, any game that has one nowadays. Sure, the campaign can be fun. Oh wait, we'll get to that later.
Train go boom.
But multiplayer is what keeps people coming back for more. That replayability and push of new content is key to a video game's success. I honestly believe that Black Ops 3's multiplayer led to a revival of the COD community. I mean, one of the biggest Call of Duty content creators at the time, FaZe Rain, we don't have to do this every time we mention the F-word clan, but his second most popular video on his channel is on the FaZe house getting Black Ops 3 early. So evidently, the hype was real for this game.
Yo!
Making children cry for monetary gain was back, meaning we didn't have to go as far as Black Ops 2 to hear a child cry, or hear Colossal is Crazy say bad words over a shitty microphone.
Since your mother. Where's your wife?
Even deep into April of 2016, BCC Gaming, which I know they're lying to me, it used to be BCC Trolling. No, there's no Mandela effect. Anyway, they managed to amass 7 million views on a literal trolling video. And this was the excitement the game generated. People making content on the current thing, not just shitting and complaining about it. And even more so, people who just casually played the game, getting inspired by the content creators and wanting to reenact shit with their friends. And losers trying to make funny forced moments.
Let's go! Stankiest thing I've ever done this year.
For fuck's sake. I'm sure with it being called BO3, with the exact same branding had something to do with it massively, since many of these people owed their careers to the success of Black Ops 2. But regardless, this return of pivotal content creation in the community was great to see. And a major way they were able to do this was actually by making a decent multiplayer and having fun and enjoyable maps. Like I've mentioned previously, one of my major criticisms of previous CODs at the time were the maps. COD Ghosts, they were, you know, too big. Like, come on, Spongehenge, what is this? But the gate moves and the buildings evolve.
You shut the fuck up!
Multi-million-dollar company tries stealing from other popular FPS shooter and still can't do it right. Jesus.
You fucking piece of shit.
And then Advanced Warfare, well, the maps were just shit as well. At least the movement was like different and a little less boring than Death Stranding over here. But Black Ops 3 launched with some really great maps, and I think the main reason is because they were all basically 3-lane maps. I know you come here for like me to say something funny or whatever, so this is a 3-lane map and here's a gif of something funny. I just want to get all the funnies out before we focus on something really like nerd emoji now. A 3-lane map anyway breaks up the map, surprise, in 3 sectors. Oh my, really? And it's probably the reason I did think Black Ops 2 was the best multiplayer COD to play, because that's what it excelled in. I know a lot of people have convictions against this method of making maps, like this singular guy I found on a Reddit post 5 years ago.
The majority of all COD maps have been 3-lane. I held the same position as you for a long...
Shut up. You use Reddit. So yeah, 3-lane map good, because I do not trust this franchise to ever try and innovate again.
I don't feel nothing. Nothing. Dead.
Like I said though, BO3 had some really good starter maps, with Combine being the best one by far. It did have Nuketown, but it was part of a pre-order bonus and was only released later in fucking March. I'll give them this though, that version of Nuketown was actually really good. I don't know, cry about wall running, shut up. It's one of the most vibrant looking maps I've ever seen, and therefore makes the enemies stand out more, and also it's just pretty to look at. I mean, look at this, 7-year-old game, and it still holds up today. I also like the fact that you can't just abuse your exosuit and like get onto the bus. I know like some people criticize this, but like just made it like more like the classic Nuketown. I know for Devil's Advocate you could say it looks goofy or whatever, but I think that is the major problem with the newer Call of Duties at the moment. Nowadays there's like a strive to be so realistic that it honestly hurts. Like peeking doors and shit and lying on top of roofs with vaulting mechanics. I get it that they want to overcomplicate games so competitive gamers can make more money from sitting in their sweaty chairs and drinking monsters all day, but for the casual gamer, that's me. It's probably why the games are becoming more out of touch now. So with that in mind, yeah, I think the movement in this game isn't even that bad.
If this is some kind of practical joke, it's not funny.
Right, stop throwing shit, otherwise everyone's gonna have to go home. Previously on Same Game Every Year, we had Advanced Warfare, where the movement was so broken that you could glitch out of bounds on nearly every map. So I don't want to hear it. Black Ops 3 had clearly been in development for some time, and they probably did have a stroke when they saw the backlash their exosuits received. I ain't gonna lie, they probably had a previous stroke when people thought Ghost was bad for literally having the most depressing looking maps of all time, and they were probably planning to remaster Yemen. Back on topic, BO3 had to rehaul its exosuits, but it quite clearly already designed maps around it. So what did they have to do? Make a recharge timer so that people couldn't be in the air too long. And honestly, it did kind of work. I don't know, at times I did kind of enjoy peeking over the walls and stuff with the feature in Nuketown and that. I don't know, call me a zoomer, but it was more enjoyable than that. I mean, it actually seemed like the maps were designed around the movement, unlike Advanced Warfare. So the gameplay did actually flow and make sense, while still at times having that boots on the ground combat. And thank fuck they didn't take any idea from the previous COD. The fucking Exo Slam. Jesus Christ. It's like having Boogie 2988 drop on your head or some other fat fucking YouTuber, I don't know. The wall running was actually kind of cute, and I think Advanced Warfare actually missed that. That's not their fault though. Titanfall wasn't there for them to copy at the time. Yeah, Titanfall was pretty much Black Ops 3, but Black Ops 3 sounds like Black Ops 2, so I'd rather play that game. With all that being said, I'm still a boots on the ground enjoyer. I just had to cope for an entire year because it was a step in the right direction to finally returning to the floor. Well, maybe one more year after that. But don't worry, this was a new video game, and there are new features in this installment of Call of Duty, like the implementation of specialists. Before I explain why they're kind of sleeper, I'd like to note that you can at least customize these specialists with skins and helmets and shit. Unlike this other game with them. That is a legitimate concern. I don't care what you think. Having like characters just look the same is so stupid. So it's nice to see that you can somewhat change the character. As much as a consumer statement that is to say, it did not give Black Ops 3 a free pass. Specialists are so unnecessary for video games. It's just another thing to create some sort of imbalance in the game, or another bullshit thing to kill you that can be earned through no fault of your own, unlike a kill streak or something. In 2015, I did think they were cool. A cheap way to get a quick kill by turning into average British man after 12 PM, or this big gun that comes out of your hand. I don't know, Ohio, Chicago joke, fucking TikTok humor. I don't know, I was like 12 at the time, okay? I like new things and robots, just leave me alone. Like most people though, you know, you grow up, you change your mind, you become enlightened by the real world, and I've learned to hate this concept. I have to be consistent in my argument, otherwise no one's going to take me seriously, okay? So let's give gaming the benefit of the doubt though. If you want to make the next Overwatch or Team Fortress 2, go ahead. But Call of Duty? No. COD already has a system. I choose the cool classes, maybe choose a kill streak that forces people to leave the match if it's used. And I don't care how many epic current thing references you give us, I'm not going to sit here and listen to these voice lines at the end of the game.
With these upgrades, you never stood a chance.
You know what, I actually didn't mind the winner podium. Sure, it's kind of goofy, but it's not as if it looks out of place. The whole premise of the game can't be taken much serious if you're familiar with the campaign.
ASAC Schrader.
Yeah, we're gonna get to you, don't worry. So in essence, Specialist kind of unique, but very unnecessary. So let's move on to one of the most important subjects in Call of Duty, the weapons. Much like the maps, the guns in Call of Duty are some of the most iconic in the FPS genre. The AK-47, the ACR, the Golden Scar, ballistic knives, the riot shield are all synonymous with the COD franchise for being really fun to use, or more importantly, funny to use.
In a little corner with the fucking noob tube. Shut the fuck up.
Along with the maps, getting the weapons right are vital to an FPS shooter's success. A wide range of weapons gives players a wide range of ways to play. Yeah, I know that sounds like IGN bullshit. People would just rather stick in a corner with a shotgun, but at least COD used to give people a lot of choice. At launch, it did feel like BO3 was quite light for content compared to some of their more successful titles. I don't know, for me, there just wasn't that many weapons. They did amend this though. I think you know how. But in their defense, they brought back the Pick 10 system, which in my opinion is the best way to play Call of Duty. Modern CODs now have these stupid 5 attachments on guns, and then you're bombarded with all these different attachments, and for my monkey brain, it's just so overwhelming. The year before BO3 had Advanced Warfare, and it was Pick 13, and the before that it was Ghosts. What is this? COD returning to Pick 10 was quite nostalgic, and it made me feel like I was playing BO2 again. The menu wasn't confusing at all, like the interface was generally very friendly in comparison to what we have today, and the perks were really familiar to me, with some new updates to accommodate for futuristic technology. I can track footsteps now. I wonder if any video game will copy this idea.
Why don't you go fuck yourself?
The guns in the game were actually enjoyable as well. I remember day one playing with the Argus and having some real good fun with it being a one-shot shotgun with a little bit of range. It kind of gave me the vibes of the KSG, but way more easy to use. The same with the KRM, almost emulating the Remington shotgun from BO2. And on with the sniper rifles, the SVG was there to replace the DSR, you know, the weapon where I hold my controller like Walt Jr. and do the funny spins so I can upload my clips to my YouTube channel, and the Locust was meant to be the ballista. And sniping was actually fun in this game, despite the idea you may have with the movement making it more difficult to hit shots. If this kid was able to hit a quad feed, the same guy going 2 in 13, then surely it wasn't that difficult.
Look at them tits. Oh my god, I like little boob plates.
Jesus Christ. But this glory was short-lived. You gotta remember that this is an Activision game, and that they love money. We should have seen this coming when they included the Peacekeeper into a DLC bundle in Black Ops 2, but what happened in BO3 was shocking.
You thieving little elf!
Microtransactions have always been a part of COD, whether that's the camos with the Great British flag on it, extra maps, or the weed man shouting at the low cost of £2.49 on COD Ghosts.
Ready to lob nades up in the air.
And I don't think microtransactions are that big of a problem. They're only a problem when they're bad. And like most things in life, they're pretty bad. Advanced Warfare implemented variants, a system which made the generic weapons better by giving them different quirks to give people an unfair advantage. I say unfair because you could buy these supply drops. During this time I was 11 and I wasn't, you know, the based free thinker that I am today. I hadn't watched Breaking Bad, so yeah, I was sucked into the Funko Pop collecting mindset. Look guys, I have the AK-47 RIP. How about I rip your face in half? But looking back, this was the first instance of COD going pay to win, and it was clear that Treyarch saw how much Sledgehammer had made and was like, I like money too. BO3 launched with the black market, and instead of using it to buy drugs or look at CP, oh wait, they did do that. Instead of last year's Call of Duty at the time allowing you to purchase supply drops at a fixed price, they implemented COD points, which meant that you would now have to spend money on virtual currency to use that money to buy the supply drops. The problem with this is that 2 of the COD point bundles aren't even multiples of 200. So if you bought them, you just have random COD points left over. I guess you can just buy more in the future, you silly loser. Don't get me wrong, in the beginning, these in-game purchases, no, we need to find another synonym. Broad daylight robbery weren't too bad. If a video game wants to generate more revenue, then sure, have these character skins, helmets and camos and stuff. They don't affect anyone's enjoyment of the game, and if you want to look cool for a whole year and show people that you were the one who stole mommy's credit card, then it's okay. So it was looking good in the multiplayer scene. No silly variants to disrupt balancing, little bit of drip for my funny specialist, all was good. A month later they even added some new weapons that didn't disrupt the game. A wrench, butterfly knife, and brass knuckles. And even they were just reskins for the knife, so it wasn't affecting anyone's enjoyment of the game. Just 3 months later, however, this would all change, with the implementation of the NX Shadowclaw, MX Garand, and Marshall 16. I don't want to look like boohoo, like crying child, because the Shadowclaws right here, they were super fun to use, and the constant onslaught of new weapons was incredibly fun. Upon trying to find like clips of people using these weapons, I just found one guy demanding you to like find the troll face in this video.
And I'm only gonna put one troll face in this video. I'm gonna put one. So
wonder if he'll Harlem shake in a minute. Back on topic though, it was just a shame to see it being done in a manner which meant that the only way we could unlock these weapons was by bashing out supply drops for money or bashing out the game. I don't know how long it would take, you know, the amount of bitcoins you'd have to acquire, then lucky rolls to get everything, but I'm assuming it would have been a lot. Looking back, the weapons were cool and all, but locked behind supply drops, very bad, especially when some of them were OP as fuck. I did like one Google search and some guy said the best weapon in the game came out of a supply drop, so he supports my argument. Months later then, to combat people never getting any of these weapons because they had a life or just were incredibly unlucky, Treyarch implemented the new challenge of getting 75 wins, giving you a weapon bribe.
Just tried to bribe a federal officer.
Basically, a go at getting one of the DLC weapons and 10 supply drops. The best way to showcase you is a video from 2016, and it is the most 2016 video I've ever seen.
Boys, here it is, the bribe supply drop. It's coming in. The slash and burn, that's the melee weapon I fucking get. Don't get me wrong, great pull, but I got a fucking fire axe, dude.
After working so hard, he got a fucking fire axe. Not even the weapons that lets you like unload a clip into somebody's head. You should really be grateful for what you got. That person like that is not in their life. In essence, DLC weapons cool, but I'm not Joe Biden. I just can't print money.
Chocolate chip.
But what if I actually was Joe Biden though? Like this man, and have enough money to buy the season pass with all the DLC maps that came along with it? If that was you, then you were in for a real treat.
It was perfect. Perfect.
DLCs have always been a contested subject across gaming. Paying 50 quid for a game, then having to shell out more money for extra content seems a little money grabbing if you ask me. Especially if it's a COD game which is technically getting replaced every year. It'd be understandable if these DLC packs were cheap, but they aren't. Even in its first rollout in 2008, they were $7.99 a piece, coming with 3 multiplayer maps and a zombie map in World at War. As time progressed, they became more expensive, resulting in the conception of the COD Elite membership. That sounds like the most terminally online shit I've ever heard. I'm a COD Elite member. I also have never spoken to women. I also scroll 4chan. Altogether, if you bought it separately, it would cost $50 all the DLCs. But if you were that determined to play all the maps, you could just buy the Elite membership and save $10, really giving it away for free. So at the time, DLCs felt like a complete cash grab, but now I kind of miss it. Video games are so lazy now that they just release their games unfinished. Cold War in 2020 released with just 8 multiplayer maps, and then they added 3 maps incrementally later on. It feels like sometimes these companies have an excuse to not finish their games because the DLC is going to be free now anyway. Paid DLC back in the day at least created hype and excitement since you did actually pay for it, and I guess because the developer was sort of making money from it, they did actually care about what they were making. And that's why Black Ops 3 has some of the best DLC maps COD has ever had. Okay, BO2, you were pretty good too, but I'm not dick eating you anymore. The first BO3 DLC, Awakening, released 3 months after the game launched on PS4, and then a month later on Xbox One. Don't even talk about the PS3 and Xbox 360, they were literally drowning at the depths of the ocean. Awakening is probably the best DLC in BO3. It had a remaster of Hijacked with Skyjacked that looked beautiful and was really fun to play. Rise, which was some kind of snowy Switzerland map, I don't really remember it that much. Splash was a lot of fun and was a really interesting concept. It took me back to when COD didn't really take itself too seriously with its maps. It reminded me of that grind map from BO2. Splash also showed me how good Black Ops 3 looks, and despite it being a 7-year-old game, the graphics still hold up today. The colours are so vibrant, and it's a nice dynamic from the grey, boring look of Ghost and Advanced Warfare. And then the final map was Gauntlet, which I had some really fond memories playing Michael Myers on. It was split into 3 training environments with different biomes like Minecraft reference, and I just have some really good memories of chasing my friends with a knife. The DLCs that followed were also entertaining and looked stunning, which is probably why the Xbox 360 didn't get to experience that one. I've seen like porn ad games with better graphics. They brought out a Raid remake, Empire, and even a standoff one called Outlaw. Even more in 2018, and I actually didn't know this, they remastered a further 4 maps if you pre-ordered Black Ops 4 digitally on the PS4. So yeah, the multiplayer maps from the DLCs were great, but as I spoke about earlier, COD DLCs always have that one major trope, and with Treyarch, that is something I hope you're all very familiar with.
In the long history of the world, that there are only a few generations. Sounds like someone breaking in!
From the claustrophobic Nakjut and Toten to the prison I'm writing this very same video from. Zombies has been a huge success for the Call of Duty franchise, garnering massive amounts of praise and a community that has withstood the test of time. These types of co-op PvE survival modes have always been successful in gaming, and COD's adaptation of this has been at the head of anything zombie related for the past 15 years. COD Zombies has always had a special part to me as well. Sometimes you're bored with the multiplayer and you've completed the campaign, so it's time to try something new. It's kind of wholesome when you play a relatively simple map, switch off for an hour and shoot the shit with the boys. And that might have been Black Ops 3's major issue at launch with zombies. In the beginning, zombies had a relatively simple premise: rebuild barriers, survive rounds, with no particular difficult motive. Over the years, it started to get more complicated. Easter eggs, different obstacles in the way of getting a pack-punched weapon, wonder weapon parts, upgrading them, feeding big inflated dragons. And in no way am I going to criticize this. Zombies is fun, but it is repetitive, so I think it's necessary more stuff is added to the game to make it interesting and fun to try and uncover all these different Easter eggs and shit. By launching Black Ops 3 with Shadows of Evil, I think it definitely put people off zombies in BO3. This is because it isn't really an easy map to understand without watching a video or two.
Hi guys, Mr. Waffles.
It wasn't like Nacked from World at War or Kino from Black Ops 1. They were really straightforward and user-friendly maps, and Shadows of Evil wasn't really like that. We'll ignore Transit. I don't think I want to talk about that. That being said, the aesthetic of the map was really cool, and the cutscenes at the beginning were, yeah, I'm down bad. There was another map at launch, and it could be argued one of the best maps in zombies of all time, The Giant, which was a remake of Doris, a DLC map from World at War. The only problem with this is that you had to buy the season pass, or some special edition of the game, or wait a few months until you could buy the map separately. And considering that The Giant, or De Reese is such a simple map to understand. It's disappointing that this wasn't just a free map at launch, but instead we got an overcomplicated map that wouldn't interest casual zombie players. That being said, the next DLC that followed would produce one of the best COD zombie maps of all time, the Eisendrache. It was stunning, the dragons, how the bows looked, everything about the map was amazing. It was clear that it was built on the premise of BO2's origin map, when instead of having staffs to upgrade, it was bows, and it led to me falling in love with zombies and giving everything else it had to offer a chance. The next 3 DLCs were also pretty good, apart from that one. Why, to get the power on, do I have to travel across the map with a bucket of water like I'm trying to get back to my African village? But one DLC that stood great amongst them all was Zombie Chronicles. Released over a year and a half ago since Black Ops 3's launch, Zombie Chronicles saw 8 classic COD maps reimagined into BO3, and it was amazing. The graphics was really good, and they played really well with the new mechanics, and added to a whole new zombies experience on BO3. If you thought zombies was good before, it was certainly great now. Black Ops 3 became the zombies experience now, having some of the best maps in the franchise on the game. Kina de Toten, Origins, Ascension, just to name a few, totaling there to be 14 zombie maps. Paired with the leveling system implemented in Black Ops 3 on launch, it gave even more purpose to replaying these maps, with now your progress actually attributing to calling cards, zombie prestiges, weapon XP, and attachments you could place on your guns, and even camos. Whereas before you'd play zombies and the stats would go onto the leaderboards, now it seemed like there was an actual progression system, making it feel way more rewarding, and your grind being more acknowledgeable. Zombie Chronicles also handled the gobblegums really well. A new feature implemented that gave players extra perks that would make the game more fun and on most occasions easier. Some of these funny little balls included Perkaholic, which gave you every perk in the game and not just the ones that were on the map. And then there was one that gave you every power up in the game. I know some people might say it just makes the game too easy, but just so you know, they were locked behind a loot box system as well, and you only had a limited number of them, so don't even start.
Where's the fucking money, shithead?
Zombies gets boring after a while, so I think this feature was necessary to ensure that, yeah, if you did grind enough for these little liquid diviniums or pour out mommy's credit card, then yeah, you could just eat something that gave you an easier time. May I just add as well how Sigma the menu was? The music, the subtle grunts, Ryan Gosling in the woods by the fire. So cool.
Fucking worthless loser!
Oh, I almost forgot about the mods as well. Different maps, funny maps, if you're 12 like me, all attributing to a zombies experience that will forever be remembered. I think the only issue I have with zombies now is that certain members of its community are some of the most talentless fuckers I've ever seen on YouTube. They're all sort of stuck in this 2015-2016 phase, clickbaiting GTA 6 kind of vibes. I mean, look at this banner. I'm pretty sure this was the guy that had to apologize for nabbing someone's script word for word in a YouTube video. Oh, and another one I want to call out actually is this Mr. T-Lexify guy. My friend made a video about a month ago on how good BO2 was, and this utter gremlin balding leech
That hairpiece motherfucker
decided to take his video and just sit in the corner and react to it.
Every single funny YouTuber uses this exact same boring style that was never as good as the original. I despise it.
Just you fucking hear yourself before you speak. I don't really have an issue particularly with that. My big issue is that he just fucking titled his video and marketed his thumbnail to make it look like his video was a 34-minute video essay on BO2. So therefore he's competing in the same ballpark for views with him. How sad and talentless. Holy shit. Yeah, exactly. Cry more about your channel getting hacked, you piece of shit. Okay, now let's talk about the campaign.
You still seeing Rachel?
That didn't work out. Outcome? Train go straight.
Taylor, you're a fucking dick.
Outcome? Train go home.
You think they had something to do with these?
Another woman!
You guys okay back there?
Oh my life. Laughing crying emoji!
For the video, I went back and tried to play the campaign. Big emphasis on tried. I played 3 hours of it, and I had to put it down because I was generally so bored by it. For a COD campaign, it just isn't it. The story seems to go nowhere, with information just being bombarded to you throughout the missions, and you're expected just to follow everything that's going on. It is, however, the first COD campaign to be co-op since World at War, which is a nice touch, but it's evident with the leveling system, class setups, and almost like a hub area that it's a lot like a PvE mode to be played with friends, rather than a gripping storytelling game.
Oh, Colonel, we are so fucked.
No meme, this isn't just my inability to understand anything. The story is just so hard to follow, not to mention that it's not related to BO1 or 2 at all, so it's clear they were just trying to profit off the back of the Black Ops name.
Not this time, American.
Enemies are repetitive, voice acting is just awful, and the whole experience made me want to quit making this video. In the campaign, you play as player. Yeah, that's how lazy it really is. Actually, no, you get to play as Mass Effect, man. You have to fight against bad guys in one of the most anticlimactic turret scenes I've ever seen in all CODs. One bullet and it goes, what? And then, holy shit, my fucking legs. Okay, that was pretty cool. The premise of the story is that you have something in your head. Yeah, it's literally one of those games. The bigger picture is that you're dying in your bed, but you don't know this, and you're reliving all the events up to where you died. Seems like a cool concept for sure, but the way it's executed is just awful. Apparently the game explained this in a huge wall of text at the start of every mission that briefly shows up. Like, that's how bad it is. The game doesn't show or tell you, so you have to watch Map Pack or someone explain the entire story to you. Basically, I ain't even real. I'm in fact the guy that saved me the entire time, and just die in a bed. End of story. Believe me when I say I did try my best to finish it, but I truly could not go on much longer. Until I realized there was a realistic mode. Yeah, that's what this shit show needed. A mode that prolonged me finishing this game even more.
Right now, you're in a medically induced coma being prepped for surgery. You've got a new bit of hardware inside your head. It's called
oh my god, it's all in the head.
I've got one too. That's how I'm able to communicate.
It's fucking all in the head.
As you've made it this far with me, looking at the multiplayer, zombies, and even that campaign, it's time to give my final regards to Black Ops 3. At the beginning, I wanted to find out whether or not my strong emotional attachment to the game was based on how good the game was, but as we near the end of the video, I don't think I'm ever going to find that out. Going back and recording many of the different game modes to uncover why 12-year-old me really enjoyed this game made me realise that sometimes you just have to let go of the past. My first game in 7 years playing the multiplayer was met with a hacker who just kept spamming the M-word in chat. What sort of loser logs on and cheats on a game that is 7 years old? It's not as if he can show off to everyone because nobody's playing the fucking game. It was some of the most loser shit.
You fucking cocksucker!
It showcased to me that the future of Black Ops 3 is in dangerous territory. I saw videos being made about how hackers were grabbing IPs, stealing Steam accounts, and getting passwords and important data from anyone who just played. And it doesn't look like Activision have any desire to fix it because it's such an old game. I think the biggest problem I had was there was an update to Black Ops 3 a couple months ago, which essentially broke the game, giving you incredibly low FPS unless you played in offline mode. So I had to download some mod just so I could run the game properly, which is definitely going to throw people off ever buying the game, even if it does go on sale. So with an inability to actually enjoy its multiplayer, like many games I played when I was younger, Black Ops 3's online features is now just a memory. Part of my childhood that I really do miss, but nothing more. As much as I try to experience what I got when I was 12, all the way back in 2015, I just couldn't, and there hasn't been a COD game since Black Ops 3 that's managed to do this. I'm sure the time period is the primary reason for this, people now just not being that fascinated by video games because yeah, we are all growing up, or just people not having enough time to play video games, or just getting bored with the monotonous grind that every multiplayer game is becoming. I'd argue that Black Ops 3 was the last good Call of Duty, and what came after has disillusioned many of its fans. Since its release, we've seen 7 COD games and 1 remaster, with Infinite Warfare that followed being the most hated of all time. Even Black Ops 4 was received incredibly poorly in 2018, and scrapped the whole concept of a campaign due to BO3's shit show. And not to mention butchering zombies. You know, the thing Black Ops 3 executed so well. A couple weeks ago, the new Modern Warfare 2 launched, and it's completely shit. Awful maps, just like Modern Warfare 2019, and one of the worst progression systems I've ever seen. Like, Jesus Christ, my brain. So all I can say now is thank you to BO3, and even to my younger self. Because no matter how cringe-inducing the content may have been, being confident enough to put myself out there and upload stuff consistently is probably why I'm still here today trying to make something out of YouTube. I feel privileged in the fact that to make this video, I was able to go back right to the moment the game came out and hear my younger self talk about it, and actually see myself excited for something new, which is such a rare occurrence these days. Even the music used in some of my videos were really nostalgic for me, and will be a constant reminder of how good we really had it back then. Sat down with a couple of friends, all playing Call of Duty, without a care in the world. It's evident that no matter how hard I try, I'll never be able to relive those simpler times, and maybe that is deep down why I made this video. A tribute to a game that was at the centre of my childhood, and the final Call of Duty game I could confidently say was good.